Yo, what's poppin'? It's Tommathan. We have the beginning of my season review series, starting off with the bang with your 2022 champions, the Dallas Fuel. Regular season of 20-4 with a plus 35 map differential, which is good for 26 points and top in the league overall, not just NA, the entire league. So looking at this roster, this is the second year of the Element Mystic core on Dallas, and every single player and coach is a free agent right now, as far as I'm aware. So hopefully, Dallas keep the boys together because you have this synergy, you have this talent, and they seem to enjoy, they've been together for so long. Why split them up now? Hopefully, they can keep everyone together. But if some people are looking for contract buffs, it could be expensive, but we'll see. Anyway, starting off with your DPS, you have Doha, Sparkle, Edison, and Gurio. Doha and Sparkle both being flex DPS. Edison being your hit scan slash Reaper slash whatever. And then Gurio was more of a project player for Rush that didn't quite pan out this season, but the potential is there. If Rush wants him, if Rush liked him and thought he could develop him, by all means, there has to be something there, even if he didn't show it. So talking about these players a little bit, Doha and Sparkle as flex DPS complement each other very well because Sparkle is like your Genji, your Tracer now, and that kind of stuff. Whereas Doha is kind of the more funky guys. You can bring out the Mei, Elite Mei. You can do some Junkrat stuff. And, they just kind of complement each other decently well. However, if Doha wanted to go out and be a starter somewhere, could he do it? I think so. So if Doha says, you know what, I want to be a starter, I didn't like that I sat out so much this season, Dallas Fuel might have no choice but to let him go. And I wouldn't blame him for that. And then, are you good enough with just Sparkle? Probably. Maybe. But it's definitely nice to have the Doha insurance. And then Sparkle, Elite Genji. He's picked up the Tracer as of last season. Pretty good on it. Not Profit, not Proper, not any of that. But he's good enough, I think. Now, if it was a hard Tracer meta, I would need Dallas to pick up some of his slack, I think, to be an elite team. But I think they can do that. They've shown they can do that. Then Edison, I was a bit hesitant on this Edison pickup, to be honest with you, because he was very hyped last season and didn't really play up to those expectations for me. So I was like, you have Edison, okay, but I don't really like it that much. And I was just wrong because his Reaper in the kickoff class phenomenal, and then his Sojourn later after he took Gurio's position on the Sojourn, which he desperately needed to do, he popped off. He was insane. Now he's not shy, lip proper. He's not hard carrying the team, but Dallas is so good they don't need that. He just needs to be able to come alive when it mattered, and he did. There were maps where he was going toe to toe with proper. He was going toe to toe with shy. He's going crazy. Edison's really good, and then Gurio, not as great. You can look at the stats on to the right of me that way. Gurio is not faring too well. Below all the other DPS by 2 final blows per 10 on the team. Below, like, everyone. Below even Geo in terms of eliminations per 10. Not okay. Barely above anyone. Only above the support lines in hero damage. And then the deaths are the highest on the team. That's just not good enough. That's just not good enough to be on a good team, to be even in the Overwatch League. Those are pretty appalling stats for how good Dallas were. So I don't know. Maybe Rush still wants to develop him a bit. Who knows? But if Gurio's gone, that does not hurt this team at all. Then you have the tanks of Fearless and Hanbin. Fearless being that main monkey man. We've seen him last season. He was defining how the Dallas Fuel play. He had a bit of a quieter season when the midseason madness, he was not great. Well, it's not that he wasn't great, but Dallas weren't great because, they were playing Gurio on the Sojourn, and Sojourn's such an impactful character, you can't afford to have a nobody there. You can't afford to have nothing, no value from that slot. And then also they were playing Fielder on the Moira pick, which I didn't really agree with. No one else was really doing. It was just a little awkward. But in the playoffs, he shows up big time, makes the run, and, takes home that playoff MVP trophy. So huge stuff from Fearless. You have Hanbin, the Zarya Junker Queen mastermind, right? Kickoff Clash dominates the competition on the Zarya, only losing to the Gladiators, who figured out, how to beat it, had a lot of different compositions for a lot of different maps on it. And Glads were just simply a better team at that point. Maybe Dallas needed to have more than just one composition in their little toolbox for that meta. But The peak of Zarya Reaper comp right there. Summer Showdown, um the best Junker Queen. Not even close. The clutches he was pulling on land in that tournament, he was just 1v9ing out of nowhere against Shock in that grand finals and in the winners finals. He was another level. That like look at his stats. He has the top eliminations and hero damage on the team. There are very few teams that have a tank that high, let alone the best team in the league. No one else is doing it like Hanbin. He is one of a kind. There's just nobody else. He's that guy. And then, of course, you have the rookie Chio on the Lucio and Fielder. Fielder had a very impressive season. He, on the Brigida in the Summer Showdown, he impressed me a lot there. He impressed me on the Ana. The midseason madness a bit more turbulent, as I said, with Dallas. But in the playoffs, probably the best Kiriko. I think it's pretty safe to say. Unless you want to say Teru had that playstyle and you like that playstyle more, but Fielder clearly makes it work. And then Chio on the Lucio, absolute insane rookie performance. Probably the best Lucio this season. I feel confident in saying that. And straight up, he's so smart. He did a VOD review of the grand finals after, and he said Lucio Beat's not that valuable compared to Kiriko Ultimate, compared to the Kitsune Rush. So what he did is he would heal as little as he possibly could in an attempt to get Fielder his ultimate faster. And it worked. You could see it in the games. Fielder was constantly 20% or more above the enemy for the first Kitsune Rush. And it matters a lot, right? If you have Kitsune Rush and an enemy doesn't, that should just be a free fight win if you use it effectively. Insane stuff. And I don't know if I was crediting Fearless a lot for that, but apparently it was Chio. And it's hard to notice that stuff unless you have the stats, unless you have the inner workings of the team. Just insane. And I don't know, Rush again. That could be a Rush thing, could be a Chio thing. Who knows who came up with it? But it's just insane. No, I don't think anyone else was doing that. Just evidently, insane stuff. So looking at the team overall through their season, kickoff clash, they're 5-1 with a +10 in the qualifiers, and they we beat everyone except for the Gladiators. As I said, the Gladiators just had a way to beat them using the Reinhardt comp, which they broke out, the Winston, the Doomfist mostly, and they just found a way to get around Dallas whenever nobody else could. Then you have the midseason madness where they went 4-2 with the +3 differential in the qualifiers to get sent home by Shanghai 3-0 and Philly 3-1 and leave with some disappointment. There was a lot of it's supposed to be, they're on Winston. They were doing their thing. It's what Dallas should be good at. But they weren't able to recover. Summer Showdown 6-0 with a +11. Insane qualifiers, insane tournament run. They're just the best Junker Queen joke team. Just the best. Wasn't close. This is where we saw Edison get to come in, and he was able to alleviate Gurio of his duties. And he stepped right in. It did not even that he didn't miss a beat, but he made beats. He was that guy. He was great for the team. Of course, you get to have Sparkle going off on the Genji too. Just great. And Fielder on the Brig left nothing to be desired. He was very good on the Brig. Better than most flex supports who got thrown on the Brig, for sure. And then in the playoffs, of course, 5-1 with a +11 coming out of the Countdown Cup qualifiers and just rolling through the upper bracket and finding a way to beat Proper down finally in a map 7 banger. Unreal stuff there. So yeah, Dallas Fuel. Oh, I forgot to talk about the coaches. So yeah, of course you have Rush, Aiden, Rascal as your coaches, with Rush being the head coach, and the managers of Tasmo Deer and Wolf. They're all free agents also. I think Rush said restricted, so I don't know if he still has a contract with Dallas or if he's just looking and they're willing to buy him out or something. I don't know how that's working out, but keep this roster together. Now, before I go on to looking at some more stats, if the meta was to develop in the playoffs, the question mark for me is, would this still have won? Because we're seeing a lot of Roadhog in the Korean contenders right now, and I feel like Shock would have thrived. So the question is, would Kaluge on the Hog be enough, or would Edison have been crazy enough, or what goes on there? I think Dallas definitely benefited from the limited amount of time they had to scrim the meta. I'm not saying they would have lost. I think it would have been really close still. And I think Dallas may have. I think the monkey comp might just be better if you use it at the very top level of gameplay. And Dallas are the top level of gameplay. So they might have just been good enough to do it anyway. Because apparently Seoul Dynasty were playing the Roadhog comp and they got squashed down. whenever they came to NA. So it's like clearly Dallas know what they're doing, but it would have been interesting. It would have been at least a bit more interesting, I think. But I still like having Dallas as my favorite. They just look so good. They look so coordinated. It's as I said, it's just the game plan, the machine that is Dallas, the system. It's so good. And now, finally, ending this off, how do you improve this roster? It's not the supports, it's not the tanks. Is it maybe the DPS? Technically, there are better DPS, but with the synergy this roster has had over multiple years, I don't think you break it up. I think it would. I think it's an unnecessary risk to try and find anything there. So I would just, for the offseason, just try to keep the team together. If you have to get rid of Gurio, if you can't afford to keep Doha, maybe you can try and find another DPS to bring in for the rotation. But you want to keep Sparkle Edison. Well, I guess you can afford to get rid of Edison because he isn't with that core in the same way. But keep Fearless Han Benchio Fielder, please. Keep Sparkle and do what you can to find good DPS to fit around him. That would be my game plan. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, that's gonna be it. The stats are there. I don't want to talk about them too much. They're kind of boring. But yeah. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you really like it. Have yourself a good one. Deuces.